Hi, I'm John from Klein Air Horns. I'm going to show you how to install the new hog kit for our Harley-Davidson motorcycle. All right, we have in the box instructions, wire harness, compressor mounting kit, main mounting bracket, connectors. On this side we'll have our horn and compressor. So horn itself, we're going to actually end up mounting first, so we'll leave it out. Airline, mounting hardware for the horn, and the compressor itself. Okay, so before we mount the horn, you want to make sure that the inlet, the barbed fitting, is towards the mounting feet. When you put it to the bracket, the hose is going to come out the back, so you want it to come out that side. You can put the horn on either side, doesn't matter which one. I prefer to put it on that one. Bolts going through, acorns on the front. So bolt going through, washer, acorn. All right, so we're gonna mount the compressor to the mounting assembly. Real simple to do. Little T-piece goes in there. U-bolt comes around the back side. You're gonna just put the regular nuts on first. They're gonna tighten the bracket to the compressor, as well as serve as spacers when we put it onto the main bracket. You just put it on by hand at first, make sure that they're nice and equal. You don't want one side tightened more than the rest. Once you got it on there finger tight. So compressor mount's done. Factory horn's already out of the cover. The cover's going to be used once we get the compressor ready. You're going to want to install your hose ahead of time because once it's under the cover, it's hard to do. Slide it between the body of the compressor and the U-bolt, and then slide it up onto, all the way onto the compressor. It's going to travel down, it's going to eventually curve around, but for now, just leave it. Take your empty factory horn cover. You're going to slide the bracket and compressor up in there. It's going to go through the top hole so that it sits like that, hose coming down the far side. You're going to situate it onto your bracket. It's just going to slide into place. The 3 studs are going to go through the 3 holes in the back. You just need to put it on by hand to begin with because you're going to want to adjust the cover to make sure it's straight and then tighten it down. Hose installed, compressor hand tight on here. We're going to make sure that just straighten it out before it gets tightened. So once it's tight, just put it down carefully by hand and you're going to tighten all the rest of your bolts in the back. The factory horn cover on, our compressor's underneath. You're going to route the air line, you're going to route it underneath. It's going to come out the far side. You're going to measure it to where it goes on the barb and then cut it off. Just cut off, slide it down underneath again, put it on the barb all the way to the very end. Seat removed, we're going to take out our harness. The harness is pretty much pre-wired and it's made to sit somewhere underneath the seat. Space right there. I'm going to end up putting our relay right there. Positive and negative cables are going to just swerve around right to the battery. Negative cable over here, positive here. So we're going to cut our fuse holder short enough to get there, our negative cable long enough to get over there. Our remaining 2 wires are going to run down through the frame towards the horn a little bit later. So I've got our ring terminals on. We're going to basically go positive to positive, negative to negative right at the battery. Positive negative terminal installed. Our relay will cinch it down a little later, but we've got 2 wires, our trigger wire and our compressor wires, that are going to be routed down through and need to come out where the factory horn was. Wires are in place. Use the supplied zip ties. Just tie into the factory wire, make sure nothing's going to hit the seat or anything from going back together. Take your fuse, go ahead and insert your fuse. Put the waterproof cover on. Tuck the rest of the relay away so that it fits under the seat nice and tight. We've already taken the factory horn off. We're going to use the factory wires. There's 2 wires typically. The black one's going to be the ground, not used. The second one is the one we're going to use for our trigger for our horn. So we're going to put a connector on it. It's going to come out of the black loom, the one that's a split loom. Just measure your wire, plan out where it's going to go, cut it accordingly. You're going to want to tuck this up out of the way eventually, so cutting it a little bit along gives you a little bit of slack, that way you can hide it. If you noticed, I also pushed this back. Eventually, once I connect this, I'm going to pull it down so it covers up the wire with the factory sheath, and then also we'll cut this one to length and make sure it matches up. Covers up our connection. This one could be run up to it and a little bit inside of it. So we'll just cut a little bit long so they kind of mate together. Once our horn's in place, we'll tuck this up out of the way so it's away from everything. Our factory wires already have loom on it. They're going to plug in once the kit's already installed. All right, everything's wired up. We're ready to plug in. Our kit's already assembled, so we're going to go ahead and mount it to the stud. Washer, factory nut, go back on it. All right, so the factory stud's got a little bit of play in it. You're going to have to counterbalance the nut when you tighten it down, because you're tightening it down, it's going to want to tweak it towards the front, and then when you let go, it's off center. So you got to get a right balance of putting it up a little bit, tightening it down, and letting that force from it straighten it back out. You're going to take the wires with the connectors already crimped on. They're going to run around the back of the assembly. They're going to come through on the bottom. The longer wire is going to go towards the back of the bike. You're going to push it through and push the tabs on from underneath. Once your wires are connected, you're going to want to take your wires and tie them up away. Make sure you tie into some factory wires to keep it away from any moving parts.